Hello and welcome to episode 60 of the Panenka View podcast. Today we are trying something new and we're doing this right after the Coppa Italia final this morning, early morning. And Napoli have won the Coppa Italia 2020, defeating Juventus 4-2 on penalties, which means that Gattuso wins his first silverware as manager. I have with me Ajay Menon on the show, who's going to be reviewing the Coppa Italia final with me, and we are going to do a preview of the Serie A season. Yes, the Italian league is back. As mentioned by everyone, we are so happy to have football back, even in these tough circumstances. So, Ajay, let's get you on the spot straight away. What did you make of that Coppa Italia final? 0-0, both teams defending and stuff, everything.
Firstly, I told you so. It's going to go to the belt. It's going to go to penalty shootout.
True that. I mentioned in the tweet as well, that Ajay had got it spot on.
Yeah, because it's expected because the teams are coming back after such a long gap, so they're still not up to their 100% as of now. So the game itself is obviously because the title is online and no one wants to lose the game. So we saw a good game. I think it was far better than the semi-final second legs. Both the teams have now slowly gotten up to speed.
Yeah.
And I would say that the game was equally balanced because Juve started better. They had a little more chances in the beginning, but Napoli slowly came back and they almost clinched it right at the death. And Buffon made a couple of good saves over there.
True.
Overall, I was predicting a Juve victory because these are situations in which they somehow find a way to win, even though they don't play up to the potential. But as we know now, the Coppa Italia Coca-Cola was won by Napoli, and as you mentioned, Gattuso's first title. So overall, a good game to watch as a neutral. Just happy that Serie A Calcio is back. Yeah,
back definitely. I love the way these leagues are coming back. Let's forget something for a moment, but yeah, Gattuso is the focus here, and we've seen how he's grown tactically. He's the Napoli versus Barca game where he earned a lot of plaudits, and he even earned a lot of plaudits last night. He got it tactically spot on. To hold Juve to a 0-0. Not just 0-0, but Napoli had the better chances to win in the first 90. He's evolved as a manager since his stint at Milan, isn't it?
100%. I mean, Gattuso has been quite unlucky during the start of his managerial career. I mean, he had some bad stints at lower league clubs and even a very fateful one at Palermo. If I'm sure that Serie A and Calcio fans know the myth about Palermo and its crazy president Zamparini. But yeah, I believe that the class of 2006, the team that won the World Cup under Marcello Lippi, all of them, at least most of them, can make good managers. And Gattuso is amongst that lot. I mean, we've seen Fabio Cannavaro coaching in China, Filippo Inzaghi coaching here in Italy. So Gattuso, well, you rightly mentioned that he earned plaudits for that Barca game. He was good with Milan as well. Very unfair that Milan parted ways with him in the manner in which everything transpired. So really, I mean, kudos to Gattuso. I spoke about this in the earlier podcast, the first podcast, the return of Serie A, return of Calcio. That he's managed to sort of take that Napoli team who were under distress, who were all divided, and it looked like the entire season is going to collapse under Ancelotti. And he's come around, and he's turned the club upside down, and now he's won them a trophy as well, man. I mean, what better way to justify your hiring?
Definitely, I remember doing the previous episodes, and like you mentioned, there was distress, there was divide in the team, and like Yogesh had also mentioned, that with Ancelotti gone, things were not looking great. But there's a manager for you who comes in and grabs it by the scruff of the neck and turns it around. I'm not saying they are title challengers also, but they're doing pretty well. I mean, the way their season went by, the first half of the season, a silverware is always cherry on top of the cake. Well, let's get to the talking point now. That penalty shootout that happened. There are so many questions regarding that. Firstly, let's address the elephant in the room, and that's Cristiano Ronaldo going for the fifth penalty. I mean, we've seen the pattern in the past. We've seen that at the 2012 Euro in the semi-final against Spain, where he was going to take it fifth, which is the most important penalty, that, as they say. But that moment wasn't needed. Then in the 2017 Confederations Cup, and now again last night. So Ajay, what do you make of that? All these talks.
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, the best player in the team has always the fifth and the last spot kick in the shootout. But having said that, Juve missed the first two penalties, and if I was Maurizio Sarri, I would have put Ronaldo. I would have promoted Ronaldo in the pecking order for sure, because although it didn't matter in the long run, but this was always going to come back and haunt him, because they had a terrible start, and Napoli scored the first two penalty kicks. So yeah, if I was Sari, I would bump Ronaldo up the order, but it really wouldn't have made a difference in the long run. So it's just that now he's lost two consecutive finals, and the Super Copa before, and now the Coppa Italia, and also not having won the Coppa Italia last year, and getting knocked out of the Champions League. So it's just that now he is Ronaldo. The spotlight is on him, and this is bound to happen.
Yeah.
I would really, from the manager's point of view, it would give me confidence that if my first two players have missed, I would escalate Ronaldo. But then again, you never know what's happening in the mind of these managers.
True. We are in a time when Messi and Ronaldo have set the bar so high. They score the penalty, they are named after that. They miss. They don't take a penalty, they are blamed. So they've set the bar. So, and having said that, Sarri is still awaiting his first silverware at the club. So a quick bottom line of that Coppa Italia final: 0-0 in normal time, and Napoli winning that 4-2 on penalties. That's for the Coppa Italia. And Ajay, now is the time when you should be more delighted, because the Italian league is back. We can officially discuss about the Serie A. And firstly, when it was announced that the league would be back, and we've seen Germany be ahead in the race, to battle. They've shown the picture out how to do it. They've shown the blueprint. What were your first thoughts when you heard that the Serie A is going to be back?
It's really great, because the country was affected severely by the coronavirus pandemic, and as you know, football is a religion in Italy, in England, in Spain, in Germany, and people look forward to supporting their local clubs in the weekend, and football is more than a way of life over there. So it comes at a time where they're just coming out of the crisis. They flattened the curve in terms of the pandemic, and the economy is slowly restarting. So football is coming back at a great time. It sounds cliche that a sport can uplift a nation, but there is an essence of truth in it. I really don't want to glorify a sport, because nothing is more important than the lives of the people who are affected, and the healthcare workers who are out there at the forefront. But with the curve flattened, and with necessary measures in place, as you mentioned, like in Germany, they were super protective, and they were super organized in terms of handling the entire situation. I think if football is feasible, nothing like it. And us as fans getting to watch these games has come as a blessing in disguise, because even most of us who support our teams, European teams, well, things haven't been easy for us as well. So this becomes an outlet for us to, experience football, the drama, all the joys, highs and lows, everything.
Highs and lows, and being there with our team through thicks and thins.
Absolutely.
And I have to say this, that it's like Bayern Munich won their 8th consecutive Bundesliga title. Now they've turned their season around, but we are doing Serie A, and Juventus are on that streak of winning consecutive titles as well. But the title race has been poised so well. Lazio are in competition. this time, and they're second. They're just 1 point behind Juventus. Inter Milan have kind of drifted away. They have played one game less, but they're still. But even with that win, they still would be 5 or 6 points behind uh, Juventus. So Ajay, let's talk about the top three. Let's talk about Juventus, Lazio, and Inter, and then let's move on to the next three, who are touted to be in contention for those Champions League places. So, title race pan out in the long run in these 2 months.
The standard fixture is Juve against Lazio. I think that's scheduled for the 21st of July, and it's going to be tight. As you mentioned, that it was a three-horse race earlier with Antonio Conte's Inter also in the running, but yeah, they lost team, and they also lost. If you recall, the last game before the lockdown, worldwide lockdown, was the Derby d'Italia, in a closed Allianz Arena where Juve beat Inter 2-0 and went back on top of Serie A. I mean, if the lockdown would have happened with Lazio on top, that would have been disastrous as a Roma fan. But yeah, Juve played that game and reclaimed top spot. But when I look at it from non-Roma perspective, it's brilliant to see Simone Inzaghi's Lazio out there challenging for the title. And I think that they have the ability to push Juve all the way. Had it been a regular season, I feel that Lazio would have still had a better chance. But now, since the European games are going to be played after the Serie A fixtures, so it's pretty much even for all. It's an even playing field for all teams. But remember, Lazio are not in Europe, so.
Yeah, correct.
Had Juve been playing the Champions League, provided they overcome the 1-0 deficit against Lyon, it would have been more strenuous for Juve.
Definitely.
But it looks very, very close, and that game, the Juve Lazio game, could be the title clincher. And I think Inter would just want to finish in the top three somehow, and maybe get a shot at winning the Europa League, because Conte's Inter dropped out of the Champions League into the Europa League, and I think they play Getafe. And since it's going to be a one-off, tie all the way to the final, I think you never know. I mean, this Europa League and Champions League could be very interesting.
Definitely. I mean, the key point there being that Lazio are not in the European competitions, but since, as you said, the Champions League is going to be played after the Serie A, that kind of evens it out. So everyone's playing those even number of games. Juventus don't have those extra games in between. And moving on to your favorite club, AS Roma. Before we, get onto their position in the table, how have you judged their season so far? How has it gone, by the way, until now?
Well, the current happening just before starting this podcast, we were just chatting on the Roma India WhatsApp group, and the news that sporting director Gianluca Petracci has been officially suspended by the club, and it looks like he's going to be sacked. So there is chaos in the back room with Jim Palota trying to engineer a sale pre the coronavirus pandemic, and that didn't go through, and now there is a difference in the valuation, and it's completely chaotic in the back room with differences in opinion in the Roma management. So the Roma fans are not happy. It's been a very turbulent year for us as well, on and off the pitch. Obviously, on the pitch, we should have been higher in the table, probably in the top three, but currently we are fifth. We lost to Atalanta just before the lockdown.
Yeah,
who are
correct.
Currently occupying fourth place. So we're with 3 points behind them, and I think they have a game in hand as well. So it's looking grim. I mean, getting into the Champions League is looking a real, sort of a Mount Everest kind of a challenge for us. And with all the drama happening behind the scenes, it doesn't really add up well. So you never know. I mean,
trust me. I know how it feels when the management and board, the board doesn't function well, and has some disastrous decisions that affects the performances on the field. And you're right when you say, that draw versus Lazio and then 3 losses on the bounce with 2 red cards, 2 sending offs. It's tough, but it's not impossible. And you never know what might happen. And the other teams now that are competing for that spot are Napoli and Atlanta. Do Milan have an outside chance or Milan out? But let's focus on.
I yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think so. Milan have a chance to make it in the top four at least.
Yeah. So if you were to judge Atlanta's season, they've made it to Europe. They've been there. They've been in the news. Uh, let's have your predictions on the top four.
I think the top four is going to remain as it is. Because I really feel that despite now the lockdown and the break in football, I think Atalanta have enough quality to remain in the top four. And in fact, it's come at a horrible time for them because they were flying before this, and unfortunately, Atalanta are based in Bergamo, which is a city in the province of Lombardy, which is the most affected in the world, actually. So a lot of older Atalanta fans passed away because of the coronavirus pandemic. So the city has been hit. And you saw that, in the game against Valencia, behind closed doors, they held up the shirt saying that, this is for you.
Yeah.
So the people of
True.
Bergamo. So they have the quality, and they also face a very tricky run into going into the final rounds of the season. But I think they have enough quality to remain in fourth, or if Inter mess up, they can even climb up to third place.
So let's talk about some of the games that are coming up. I mean, Torino versus Parma is the first fixture Saturday night. And you have a midnight game, post midnight game, Verona Cagliari, and then Atlanta play on Sunday, and then you have Atlanta Sassuolo, Inter Sampdoria, and then Lecce Milan. Talking about AS Roma, Ajay, let me just go through the fixtures. Roma Sampdoria, so there's still for them next Thursday. Next Thursday is what I'm seeing. So by the next Thursday at this time, we might be discussing about that game as well. There's one more question. 12 match days to play, if I'm not wrong, and the season unfolds. I think just ends in August. Correct me if I'm wrong. It just ends in the first week of. It goes until the end of July and in the first week of August. So they. Bundesliga podcast yesterday, and the German league winds up this month end, and then you have the DFB Pokal final in the first week of July. So that means technically a 1 month break for Bayern Munich, who are in the Champions League, 1 month break for Leipzig after this final. How does that affect the players, on the physical side, taking that long of a break and then coming back?
I think it definitely affects players, because nothing compares to match fitness. I mean, you can be as fit as you want in the gym during training, but in terms of match fitness, there's nothing to compare that. So a long break might affect them, given the fact that the other leagues are still going on, or they've just resumed. So you'll have a thing where probably the players from the Premier League, La Liga, and Serie A would be much more sharper. And I'm actually now feeling bad for PSG and Lyon. Lyon have a first leg lead over UA, and since the Ligue 1 has been called off, they're just going to go fresh into the game now against UA, and UA obviously would have their match fitness at peak levels, but you never know because it's still far away. It's quite we're still in June, and all these European competitions are in August.
Yeah.
And with the kind of injuries that are happening, I mean, obviously since you're an Arsenal fan, you must have seen the game yesterday, the City Arsenal game. But amongst everything else, you saw how injuries are a frequent occurrence now post-COVID, bound to happen. So you never know, the squad that would actually turn up in those months.
Yeah.
And if it's a depleted squad, then yeah.
And to be honest, definitely the key point there being you don't know what happens, because we were discussing that about we got yesterday's game, and the two players that got injured were actually in the game plan of Mikel Arteta, Granit Xhaka and Pablo Mari. And they got injured in the first 20 minutes. I mean, the initial first few minutes was City weren't pressing that much. The plan was to get those left footers up to Aubameyang and Eddie Nketiah. And when they got injured, the plan B kind of went downhill. And then it was, a tale of blunders, and you know what happened next. So a great episode once again, a crisp episode, I should say. I mean, we should do this more often because I love talking about all the leagues, not just one league. Although I take time out for distractions these days. we all need time. We all need to take that time. But Ajay, great episode once again. And let's have a few predictions, Ajay. If not all the games, but let's have a prediction on the top 6. I mean, I'll just name some fixtures from the top 6. Atlanta Sassuolo, home game for Atlanta. Inter Sampdoria, home game for Inter. Lecce Milan, away for Milan. You have Bologna, Juventus, again away for Juventus, Napoli, Verona and Napoli. And then you have Roma and Sampdoria next Thursday. Let's start with the Roma game.
Well, the game is against Claudio Ranieri, who basically left Roma at the end of last season, and he also took charge of Sampdoria for the return fixture that happened earlier in the year. And typical Ranieri, Sampdoria under our former manager Di Francesco were, struggling to find results. Ranieri comes in, puts a solid 4-4-2 and gets a nil-nil draw. And I think that's how he's lined up for both the games that he has. It's going to be very difficult to beat them, to be honest. But I just hope that Roma find that extra gear to, get that win. So it's going to be like tricky. It's going to be, we'll see a lot of nil-nils and 1-0s at the beginning, but hoping for a Roma win in that one. And of course, hoping for a Sassuolo win against Atalanta. Hope that De Zerbi pulls it out, although it looks, although it looks very unlikely. I think I need to remove my Roma glasses and talk to you as a neutral Serie A commentator. But yeah, it's going to be incredible to see how the season pans out. But expect the usual results. I feel that Juve at Bologna, Juve will manage to get that win. Very interesting for the Milan teams. They face relegation threatened teams. Like Sampdoria are actually fighting relegation, and so are Lecce. So it's a very close gap actually for that last spot. You have 3 to 4 teams who are out there, including both the Genoese teams, so Genoa and Sampdoria are there. They should be higher up in the table, but somehow they find themselves there. So quite an interesting thing. But I expect the favorites are going to get that extra. They're going to bring that extra, little bit, that X factor and win and get those results. So no upsets. I hope in the first few weeks, but hopefully when all the teams are up to 100%, we'll have some fireworks.
Yeah, so the Italian league is back, and it's going to be played until the first week of August. 12 match days remaining. Remember, a few teams have a game in hand, including Inter and Atlanta. So keep your eyes on that. Also, the only playlist that's been created on Panenka View YouTube channel is for the Serie A, because the Serie A guys have been very consistent contributing, and Ajay is back. 2 episodes in 4 days. So it's great to have you, Ajay. Looking forward to the next and the next and the next. Let's hope Roma get into the Champions League, and let's hope we have a cracker of a season. But both of us can agree on the fact that we are happy that football is back, and so are our lives, because they depend a lot on these.
It's a way of life for us also.
It's a way of life. So like I always say, here's your host Prasad signing out with Ajay on this episode of the Panenka View podcast.